good evening, and welcome. Tonight we are going to be looking through my astronomy atlas and learn about the stars in June. We're going to look at the northern hemisphere and then the southern hemisphere. We're going to take a look at one of the constellations that appears in the sky at this time of year. And then we're going to learn a little bit more about outer space. So let's just dive right in. Get started with the northern hemisphere stars. And if this is your first time watching one of my astronomy videos, this book has this really nice ring binding. So it makes that sound. The best. But anyway, here we go. The northern hemisphere stars. At this time of the year, the nights are at their shortest. At northerly latitudes, the sky never gets fully dark at all. The tail of the Great Bear, Ursa Major, can be used as a signpost in the midsummer skies. Find it overhead and follow its curve down toward the southern horizon. Let's see. Ursa Major. Follow its tail. Right here. This will lead you to Boötes, where you will find the bright star Arcturus. Nearby is the small constellation of Canis Venatici, right here, whose stars were once part of Ursa Major. You can see Antares right up there near the zenith. Let's learn more about my favorite named constellation, Boötes. This constellation represents a herdsman. Boötes, he looks after the bear, Ursa Major, by following it across the sky. Hold on, my cat's getting out of my lap. There he goes. Okay. All the stars in this kite-shaped constellation are fairly faint, except for one, yellowish Arcturus, whose name means guardian of the bear. It is the fourth brightest star in the night sky. And let's learn about this little bitty constellation, which I hope is pronounced Canis Venatici. It says the two hunting dogs that help Boötes to keep the bear in check are represented by the stars of Canis Venatici. Unlike the ancient constellation of Boötes, Canis Venatici was devised in the 17th century. Its main star, Caroli, I hope, is a double star, which can be seen through a telescope as two separate stars. There's a little did you know box. In 1933, a Chicago exhibition's opening night featured Arcturus. Its starlight triggered switches that then turned on the floodlights. How did they do that? It's really interesting. The brightest star in Canis Venatici is Caroli, meaning Charles's heart. So Caroli, let's say Caroli. It commemorates King Charles I of England, who was executed by Parliament in 1649. Anyway, let's flip this over. Let's listen to the binding again. And let's flip over the book to read about the southern hemisphere stars. There we go. My cat's trying to get on the desk. Hope he changed his mind, thankfully. Alright. The southern hemisphere stars. Which, like I always say, just in case this is your first time, I've never even been to the southern hemisphere, so I do hope that I'm pronouncing these names right. But as we just learned, I don't even know if I'm pronouncing the northern hemisphere stars right. So feel free to correct me in the comments if you actually know how to pronounce some of these names. Okay, the cat thought about it again and changed his mind. Nope. Is he gonna do it? He's not gonna do it. Okay. If you see my videos, the cat likes to walk across my desk when I start filming for the night. But he's going to sleep. Alright, let's read about the southern hemisphere stars. But or I get too distracted. The midwinter skies are filled with stars as the Milky Way arches across the heavens. Almost overhead are the constellations of Libra and Lupus, right there. The ecliptic, too, is high in the sky, so there may be planets well placed for viewing. This is also a good time to compare the globular cluster Omega Centauri with its northern counterpart, the much paler M13 in Hercules, which is often called the Great Cluster. Let's see, where is Hercules? Is it up here? Anyway, maybe one of these will tell us. Let's read about Libra, the scales. The only non-animal constellation in the zodiac, Libra represents a set of weighing scales. Until Roman times, its two brightest stars, Alpha and Beta, were regarded as the claws of Scorpius, its neighbor. The stars are named Subhanel Janubi and Subhanesh Omali, which are Arabic for northern and southern claw, respectively. Next is Lupus, which these two constellations are so good because they actually look like what they're supposed to be. This looks like a little wolf running, doesn't it? Lupus. Though there are no particular legends associated with it, Lupus represents a wolf. It contains several moderately bright stars, but its most famous object appeared only briefly in 1006. This was a supernova, the brightest ever seen. Only radio waves can be detected from its remnant today. And here is Circinus. Is it like Xerxes or Circus? Circinus. Why don't we find it first? Even though I couldn't find Hercules. Let's see. Maybe I'll find it this time. There's Scutum. So many things I've never heard of. There's good old Hydra, Corvus, Virgo. It can't be over here because I know all these. There's good old Scorpius. Maybe this will tell us where it is. It's kind of a small one anyway. Let's see. Let's say Circinus. Anyway, this constellation represents a pair of compasses and is found east of Alpha Centauri. Alpha Centauri. Where's Alpha Centauri? Do you guys see it? Alpha Centauri. Found it. Right here. Very teeny tiny small in the sky, up in the Milky Way. So it's supposed to be a compass, so anyway, let's say Circinus. Created by French astronomer Nicolas Louis de Lacaille in 1576. It was of little interest until the 1970s when a previously overlooked nearby galaxy, the Circinus galaxy, was discovered here. That's what I want to know how to pronounce. Let me know if you know how to pronounce this one. But let's move on to our constellation, which, check out this picture. Can you guess what constellation we're going to talk about just by looking at this? It's like the only southern constellation that I know by heart because it's the Southern Cross. Do you see it? It's so bright in the sky, and the only reason I know about it is that it's on so many different flags of countries in the Southern Hemisphere. So it's an important one that's very easy to spot, important for navigators. Let's read more about it. But look at all these stars. Amazing. There we go. Centaurus and Crux. So it's showing us over here that this is the constellation of Centaurus, and this box is what we can see in this picture. So there's Crux, and this whole constellation here is Centaurus, which you can really see man body, horse body. That's another obvious one, isn't it? Let's read more about it. Centaurus and Crux. Crux, the Southern Cross, is one of the most famous southern constellations. Its stars used to form the hind legs of Centaurus the centaur, a mythical creature that was part horse and part man. In ancient times, Centaurus could be seen low over the horizon from southern Europe. Over time, however, the effects of precession meant that the stars of Crux could only be seen from farther south. When explorers traveled south in the 16th century, they noticed the distinctive shape of the Southern Cross and made it a constellation in its own right. Let's read about this pretty picture right here. Let me slide this over just a smidge. Omega Centauri. Very pretty. It says, Omega Centauri, the brightest and largest of all globular clusters, looks like a hazy star to the naked eye, so early astronomers gave it a star's Greek letter name. It contains over 1 million stars, which are densely packed. At its heart, the average distance between two stars is more than 100 times smaller than in the Sun's neighborhood of the Milky Way. Right here is the jewel box, NGC 4755. Crux is home to a sparkling cluster of stars called the Jewel Box, formed nearly 10 million years ago. The cluster is one of the youngest in the galaxy. It lies nearly 7,600 light years from us and consists of a number of luminous bluish-white supergiants, with a red supergiant at the center of the group. Can see just, what is that? An airplane. Okay. We can see just over here in the corner the Coalsack Nebula. The big black spot, I think it is. Just next to a Crux, the brightest star in Crux, lies a dark cloud of gas and dust, which hides the stars of the Milky Way. This is the Coalsack Nebula, the most famous of the dark nebulas. And this is Centaurus A, NGC 5128. This unusual elliptical galaxy is a powerful source of radio waves and X-rays. Astronomers believe that a spiral galaxy has merged with it, causing stars and gas to fall into a massive black hole at the center and produce high amounts of energy. The collision has also set off a burst of star formation. There's a dust lane, it says. Up here's the nucleus. So let's look at this little map real quick. Can you see? So let's find Omega Centauri. Found everything but Omega Centauri is up here. The jewel box right here. The Coalsack Nebula is right down here, I suppose. And Centaurus A is up here in the heart of the Centaur. So if we look at this picture, I think this must be the Coalsack Nebula, because it's a dark spot in the Milky Way. And the jewel box, where was it? Right next to the beta star, so right here maybe. I'm obsessed with this picture. Look at all the beautiful stars. There's a little did you know box. Let's see, it says, Crux features on the flags of several nations, including Australia, New Zealand, Brazil, Samoa, and Papua New Guinea. The nearest star to the Sun is Proxima Centauri, 4.22 light years away. This faint 11th magnitude red star is in a huge orbit around a much brighter double star, Alpha Centauri. Yeah, I thought Alpha Centauri was our closest star besides the Sun. There's the Alpha star. It doesn't label Proxima Centauri. Anyway, let's learn about something else in our solar system. The universe, I should say. So we're going to talk about galaxies. It says here, galaxies are like vast islands in the universe. They are made up of millions, or in some cases, billions and billions of stars, together with dust, gas, and mysterious dark matter, all held together by the force of gravity. Many galaxies have a massive black hole in the center. Astronomers estimate that the universe contains about 100 billion galaxies, grouped together in clusters. Some clusters have only a few dozen members, but the largest have thousands. Clusters bunch together to make superclusters. Galaxies take on a variety of forms, and each one is unique. The most dramatic have winding spiral arms. Let's read about those spiral galaxies. These spectacular galaxies have two main parts. The central bulge is dense and consists of old stars with little gas or dust. The disk, which forms the arms, contains gas and dust from which new stars are forming. Spiral galaxies can range in diameter from 10,000 to 200,000 light years or more. The astronomer Edwin Hubble classified spiral galaxies according to how open their spiral arms are. So beautiful. Let's read about elliptical galaxies. You can see is this big spot. These galaxies look like flattened balls, but more often are potato-shaped. Elliptical galaxies mostly consist of old stars, with hardly any new star formation taking place. Some, such as Fornax A, have dust lanes, which result from a merger with the spiral galaxy. Can you see them right here? Right here. Dust lanes. Ellipticals come in all sizes, but the largest galaxies are always elliptical and may contain more than 1 trillion stars. My goodness. Let's look at this one. Look at this shape. This is a barred spiral galaxy. Many spiral galaxies, such as NGC 2442, pictured here, have a central bar rather than a simple bulge, with the spiral arms sprouting from the ends of the bar. The bar is made up of stars, gas, and dust, and runs through the center of the galaxy. The extent and shape of the bar varies from galaxy to galaxy. The Milky Way appears to have its own bar, which from our position in the galaxy we see end on. Awesome. Let's look at this one up here. This is lenticular galaxy. Look at this spot. That's awesome. Some galaxies consist of a central bulge of old stars and a disk. They have little dust and gas and no spiral arms. These types of galaxy are called lenticular, meaning lens-shaped. They appear to be a cross between a spiral and an elliptical galaxy. Let's look down. Let's just go this way. Active galaxies. Look at the color. Let me bring it closer. So neat. It says galaxies that have bright centers are known as active galaxies. In addition to looking bright, the center nucleus may be a strong source of radio waves or X-rays. The farther out into the universe you look, and therefore the farther back in time, the more common active galaxies seem to be. The engine that drives the active nucleus is probably a massive black hole, which causes intense heating of any material that falls into it. This is an irregular galaxy. Looks like a paint splatter, doesn't it? Or maybe bird droppings. Let's see. Many galaxies don't have well-defined shapes and are simply called irregular. These are the most common type of galaxy and come in many shapes, but none of them is particularly large. Irregular galaxies contain gas from which new stars are being formed, and therefore have a blue appearance because of these young hot stars. The Milky Way's companion galaxies, the two Magellanic Clouds, are good examples. Shown here is the Small Magellanic Cloud. This is interacting galaxies. So there's a galaxy here and a galaxy here. They're interacting. It says astronomers have found two small galaxies in the process of merging with our own Milky Way galaxy. And they think giant galaxies are created by mergers. A collision distorts the shape of the galaxies, often creating long streamers of stars. It's this right here. It can also spark off a burst of new star formation. However, the distance between the individual stars is so great, actual star collisions are unlikely. And down here is another beautiful picture of galaxy clusters. Look at them all. Too many to count. 100 billion, remember? Too many. Galaxies exist in clusters, and each cluster can contain a mixture of galaxy types. The Milky Way belongs to a cluster of around 30, known as the local group. When astronomers estimate the mass of a cluster, the figure always turns out to be much more than the galaxies alone. The source of this extra matter is known as dark matter. It says right here that light from distant galaxies is distorted into arc shapes by the mass of a galaxy cluster in the foreground, acting like a lens. Awesome. Here we have a little biography about Vera Rubin. In the 1970s, American astronomer Vera Rubin made an amazing discovery. While studying the Andromeda galaxy, Rubin noticed that its inner and outer stars traveled around the center at the same speed. She concluded that the galaxy must be surrounded by a large amount of invisible dark matter. And that's it for this month. So if you're new to this channel, first of all, welcome. Thank you for watching to the end. I do this monthly for the year of 2021. I figure next year I'll do like a what to look for in the sky in that specific month, because I know from when I'm posting this video we're going to have a lunar eclipse. So I want to talk about, things that are happening in the sky in like January 2022, things like that. But I really, really enjoy reading from this book. I learned so much, and it's such a crinkly little book, isn't it? Very tinkly. But that's where I'm going to leave you for the night. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you found this video relaxing and educational. And I hope that you have a very, very good